Hi everyone, so really quickly before we begin, I just want to say I'm editing right now and I noticed a little bit of video and audio lag, so if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll notice the two aren't going to line up. We're going to fix that for next week. We don't even know what happened this week, so I apologize if you're watching it, but if you're listening on Spotify, just enjoy the podcast. All right, everybody, welcome to my brand new horror podcast. We are going to have episodes every Thursday up until Halloween for the rest of summer and into the fall season. We're going to be talking literally everything. We're going to have haunts to talk about. We're going to review products. We're going to have conversations with people who are doing the thing in the horror community, talking movies and all of that stuff. So I'm so excited that you guys are here for my first ever episode of Noah's Nightmare podcast. Just really quickly before we get started, want to shout out all the SoCal haunts, everybody who puts on a haunt, from the small home haunts to these bigger theme parks that are putting on haunts. We appreciate you guys so much for everything you do and cannot wait for this season. There's so much in store, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Each week, I'm going to bring somebody else onto the podcast, and we are going to kind of talk about their genre of expertise. Also, I invite everybody to participate in the discussion over on my Instagram. Every day the episode drops, every Thursday, I'm going to be putting up polls and things to do over on my Instagram story. And I think you can participate on Spotify as well. So if you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, definitely go over to Instagram or see if you can find a poll on Spotify so you can also participate in the discussion. So this week, we're welcoming one of the OG speculators in this community. He started his social media journey back in 2016 on Instagram as the Disney Bay, and since has built one of the largest communities in this genre of content with almost 200,000 subscribers on his Five Fires YouTube channel. You can find him visiting theme parks all across Southern California, trying out each one of their special events, and speculating what's to come next. Let's creep open the coffin, and please welcome to my nightmare, Mondo. Mondo!
Wow. Thank you. That's too much hype, Noah. I wasn't ready for that.
Hey,
no,
you deserve all the hype.
I'm excited. I'm glad you're doing something like this, because it's nice to keep the Halloween conversation, or not even Halloween, just the horror conversation going. I like it.
100%. Yeah, it's different. I wanted to do, I know there are people who have horror-themed Halloween podcasts that just focus mainly on events, and mine I kind of wanted to not only do just the events, but do kind of a little bit of everything horror-wise. We're going to talk movies and, you know, a bunch of different things throughout the run of this, which kind of makes it different from everything else, which I'm very excited for. But Mondo, let's talk about you really quickly before we get into it. What is going on? Where can the people find you? You know, big projects you're working on. How can we support those?
Yeah, you can find me Five Fires YouTube. That's mainly where I'm at currently. Instagram at the Cali Bay. Same thing on Twitter at the Cali Bay. For right now, I think my big project that is on like the forefront is Disney cruising from Florida. Also, too, we're going to be staying at a really nice hotel, so I can't wait to showcase that, experience that. Every time I've gone to Florida, it's been kind of more of a budget thing. This time we're kind of splurging, so
nice.
I feel like it's gonna feel different than my other trips. And I'm going with the kids, so I'll be like vlogging and kind of showcasing. Is it possible to travel with the kid to Walt Disney World, even a Disney Cruise Line? We'll see.
Plus, seeing all of that through a kid's perspective is going to be very cool too. Cause,
yeah,
I mean, you mainly go with just yours.
I was gonna say my main thing right now though is Halloween. Halloween from the theme parks, especially.
Yeah.
From Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, Knott's Scary Farm at Knott's. Soon enough, I don't know if I could get one or two Dark Harbor updates. I feel like nobody's done it yet.
Nobody's done that.
Somebody needs to get out there. But the thing with Dark Harbor is it's not so easy to just go over there and park. They actually charge you.
Mm-hmm.
Or unless like you get a meal at the restaurant inside the Queen Mary, then you could get it validated maybe.
Yeah.
But also too, I'm excited. We have Midsummer Scream around the corner, so it's just the whole conversation of Halloween is really picking up steam now. So
100%.
I can't wait. I just can't wait, Noah. And there's a lot of unannounced stuff everywhere.
Oh,
so
yes. Oh,
So
yeah.
a lot of question marks. What's to come this year?
We're going to be talking about all of that today because this episode is all about Halloween speculation, and what better person to do it with than you, who speculates every Sunday on YouTube. So this is all speculation, everybody. Take all of this with a grain of salt. It's July, so things haven't really been announced or set in stone yet for a lot of these haunts. I'll try to give you as much fact as we have regarding every haunt we're talking about, but also just things we talk about that we want to see, or things we maybe have heard or stuff like that. Just take all of that as you will, because none of it is set in stone. Some of that might not even happen. So we're going to get into all of that. And I want to first start off, Mondo, by asking you, what haunts have you done here in SoCal?
Horror Nights, Fright Fest, Scary Farm, Dark Harbor, Hollow Scream. I actually did that the first year. I've done some home haunts here and there as well.
Okay.
But I've never. I want to like expand this year a little bit more.
Yeah.
To some of the events, like the one in the cornfield. What's that one called?
Yeah, Haunted Harvest.
Haunted Harvest.
Yeah.
Fear Farm, I think, has been picking up a lot of steam. I want to expand to some of those events this year. I think the one I still don't care for is 13th Door, or what is it called?
17th Door. Intense.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me.
It's for a specific audience. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart.
But that's kind of the realm that I stick to. I've done a lot of stuff. I just can't recall the names because a lot of stuff changes every year. But those are the main haunts that I like to do every year.
Cool. Well, we're going to start off our speculation talking Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme. That's the new name they have for it this year. This one's like a heavy hitter. I feel like everybody is talking about this within the haunt community. I feel like people that have maybe never even done a Fright Fest are like considering it this year because of everything that they've announced. We know it starts September 7th and runs through November 3rd, I believe.
I know, everybody's going beyond Halloween, it seems.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like this lineup that Six Flags has announced and released to us not too long ago was absolutely insane. I'm going to try to read off everything that I have written down that they've already announced.
Nowhere. Like, there wasn't even a hint of like, hey, we're going to do some crazy stuff this year. Nobody
expected all of this. But they released, they sent out a press release talking about some of the mazes to expect this year at Six Flags in California. So Six Flags Magic Mountain, we are getting Stranger Things, we're getting The Conjuring, we're getting Saw, we're getting Army of the Dead, and Trick or Treat are the major ones that they're announcing. They still have a few that they haven't announced yet, as well as scare zones and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm very excited for all of this. I think all of this is going to be cool to see because we've seen some of these mazes at other haunts, and it's going to be cool kind of comparing the two now that this brand new company is picking up like these crazy IPs. So what are your thoughts on all of that? Are you excited for it?
Extremely excited. I had a chance to do Fright Fest last year, and I've said this a couple times, but everybody told me Fright Fest sucked. It was a bad event. People just didn't like it. And I wanted to see it for myself. And I went last year, and it won me over instantly with just the opening ceremony that they have. It's a lot of fun. All the clowns that they have in the DC area. They really set the tone. Fright Fest has more of like a fun vibe than I'm trying to scare the heck out of you kind of thing. It was a weird event though, because Fright Fest last year didn't really have everything open that they promised until like a month or in October. Yeah. So it was like a tale of two events. Going into this year, them having IPs, I could only assume that means they have a lot of money, a lot of money to be pumped into these houses. And for the most part, I just didn't understand how they could be so confident to be building this many houses from Trick or Treat, Stranger Things, and all that, because they could barely get Saw and Conjuring done. Yeah. But as time has gone on, I keep hearing that they're going to reimagine some of their mazes to these IPs. And that's when I was like, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. And I could see some houses be reimagined to some of these IP. the one thing that I love about Fright Fest is they're really shooting for the stars. And we've never seen this type of effort from Fright Fest. Maybe it had it 10 years ago, I don't know. But in my era of covering Fright Fest, it's never had hype. And the cool part that they're doing these IPs, they're bringing humongous fandoms to Fright Fest. Some of the things I was saying, Noah, I feel like even if these houses are a mid house might win everybody over. I feel like I feel like there's some forgiveness that's being had for Fright Fest, and I think the reason I say that is because it's a Six Flags event. Yes. And I feel like people are not walking up in there like, oh, it's Horror Nights. We're going to have the craziest house. I think people just want to see their IPs fun and used in fun ways.
100%.
And I feel like it might be enough, dude. And if they have banger merch, which usually Six Flags is like some of the best merch of all the theme parks. They're really on top of their merch over there.
Yeah.
If they could combo with the merch, it's going to be a force to reckon with.
Yep.
And what we have heard from Fright Fest is that there's still a big announcement. Even though there's already all these damn announcements, there's still a big announcement to come at Midsummer Scream, which I think we're like 20 days away. Or
something like that.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Yeah.
So Fright Fest to me is significant. It's like a symbol of competition.
Yes.
And a lot of people are upset because they're so Horror Night. They got like the Horror Night blinders where
100%.
Nothing else is good. But hey, Scary Farm stepped it up last year.
Yep.
And now it's going to be fun to see Six Flags step into the ring and bring in big crowds. I think it's cool, Noah. It's one of the coolest things we've seen of these theme parks recently.
I fully agree with you. I think that this year, I mean, I was looking online and looking at their ticket prices, and I don't remember what they were last year. I couldn't tell you what they were in previous years.
I feel like they were in the $40 range.
But I was going to say this year, when I was looking online, the tickets range from $99 to $149 for like an express, which makes me think that they're putting a lot of money into this event. That makes me think like they're trying to get that kind of payback for dropping all this money on this event and giving you quality for what you're paying for.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time in a long time. I don't know if they've done it before, but they're going to kick people out. You can't be in these areas this year.
Wow.
Because normally anybody could be in the scare zones. You had to pay to go in the houses. Now it's all these areas are blocked. You can't be because it's part of Fright Fest or Fright Fest Extreme.
So it's a separate ticket now. Because I remember like it used to be like you want to add Fright Fest on, you go run over to that little ticket booth and you're good for the night. But if it's a separate event now, that's starting to make me think like maybe we even get some IPs as scare zones or shows.
I know. That's what I keep hoping. Yeah. I hope the IPs go to the scare zone.
Would be
because
crazy.
we haven't got IP scare zones in a long time.
Yeah.
Scary Farm ain't doing it.
Nope.
HHN for some reason ain't doing it. So I'm excited, dude. I don't know what the hell could come as a scare zone, but I'm here for it, man. Fright Fest with this IP love is insane.
And I mean, we've been told too, like Mondo was saying, we've been told by their creative directors and their team over at Six Flags that there is something major they're announcing at Midsummer Scream, and like to be there, that's the place to be. Which Midsummer Scream is going to be its own episode for this podcast, so we're going to be talking about that next week. But it's going to be insane. I think they're going all out this year. They have a lot of IPs, but I wonder if some of those originals kind of stay. Some of those things that they have created.
That's the thing is these originals. Like, where do they land? Do they care to do originals anymore? Because
I don't know.
It doesn't feel that way.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of what this event holds. But I'm very excited. Again, Six Flags starts September 7th and runs to November 3rd. And tickets are already on sale. So if you're interested in doing Fright Fest Extreme at Six Flags Magic Mountain, check them out. Don't miss them at Midsummer Scream. There's going to be a lot to talk about once they kind of release everything, which I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
But we're going to jump on to another very highly anticipated event, which is Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. Now, this event was a heavy hitter back in 2019, 2018. It was like some of their best years, and then the pandemic hit. When we all came back from that, they did not return. But then we were just kind of told that this year they're coming back with a vengeance and doing the thing again, which I'm very excited for, because I tell everybody that the Queen Mary Dark Harbor was at its peak in 2019. It was like one of the best events. It was like something that people were like, we got to go to that. It's scary as hell. They got drinks, you know, they got really good scare actors. You're on the ship for a majority of it. And what better backdrop than the damn Queen Mary? Like, it's just, it's crazy.
It's scary without any of this.
It's scary enough. It's literally scary enough. So for them to come back is going to be crazy. Like, all eyes are going to be on the Queen Mary, because they kind of have to reach that same level that they had in 2019 to keep the fan base alive, to keep people happy, to like make them want to come to Queen Mary again. But really quickly, before we get into that Dark Harbor talk, we're going to talk just really quickly, because it'll be its own episode too, about other offerings on the Queen Mary, Gray Ghost projects going on the Queen Mary, which is like a paranormal investigation. It's so much fun. I've done it, loved it. They have paranormal tours. They have a 57 ghost seance, which is like a show that you can watch with some really cool things going on in there. So definitely check out the Queen Mary for the Halloween season. But Dark Harbor, I think, is the one thing that people are like ready to go. Like we're ready to see what they have in store, and they have not announced much. They literally only announced that the icons were back and that their dates are September 20th through November 2nd. That's all we know.
And it's so sad, because I went to the last year of Queen Mary Dark Harbor, 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
It was their 10th anniversary. So this event was like in its all-time high.
Yeah.
They had, I think, like five mazes, like 2 outside and 3 in the Queen Mary.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a lot going on. The Queen Mary was full force with the food, the bars, the slider show. They even had people performing arts like fire show.
Yeah.
They were just doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yep.
And it was nice because Long Beach area, that's kind of it for haunts. So I feel like it shines a lot in that vicinity. And the people that ran Queen Mary Dark Harbor, they truly cared about that event. They cared. I don't know how many people are returning this year and to lead it forward, but it's cool that enough people have a passion and love to bring this event back, because I was scared, Noah, that it was never going to come back.
I thought so too. I thought we were kind of stuck with the Shacktober thing until they figured out what they were going to permanently put in there. But 13th Floor picked it up. So I don't know how many of the original people are coming back because it's a brand new company. The company that did them before, I think, went bankrupt during the pandemic or something like that. And so
it's hard times.
13th Floor picked them up, and I'm very excited to see what they do. I will say, from the little event we went to, the announcement event, they brought out the ringmaster and they were telling us all these things about, you know, what's to be anticipated, and Scary Mary was going to come back and all these things. And these are all icons of Dark Harbor. These are all things people loved. So if those things are coming back, I think there's a very good chance that this haunt will be one that's like on the top of the list this year. I really do.
Yeah. I will say this. Queen Mary Dark Harbor better hit a home run, because if they don't, the competition is really stiff this year.
Yeah.
Fright Fest, HHN, Scary Farm, they're all hitting hard this year. So
100%.
Dark Harbor, I know it sounds hard to say this to Dark Harbor, but they can't take their time. They got to hit the ground running and win everybody over right away, because the word of mouth is going to spread if it's a good event, because people want this event to be good. Yeah. I hope whatever's happening, it's a well-funded event, staffed correctly, and I can't wait to be back in the Queen Mary maze, because those mazes are hella long and scary AF.
There's like
and
places
you don't get
of the
an
Queen Mary
experience like that anywhere else.
100%.
Queen Mary.
There's places on the Queen Mary you don't even get to see, like, just walking around, that you get a walkthrough in the maze and you're just like, what the heck? And then, like, it just helps that there's, you know, all these creepy stories and a horror background on the actual ship. So when you're walking through, you're just like psyching yourself out the entire time.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I think it's going to be very, very good this year. I'm hoping for that. We already know, based on the little goodie bag they gave us at the media event, that there are going to be the return of the hidden bars. We got a little token to get us into one of those, and I think that's another thing people really loved, were those hidden bars in the middle of the mazes. You're walking through, if you got the little token, or if you got, you know, a phrase or something, you would tell the person and they would take you a complete opposite way, which is just so unique and different than anything else we really get. So
they're the only ones that do that.
They're the only ones who do that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It'll be exciting. We don't have any information on tickets yet, other than September 20th and November 2nd. The dates.
I know. I just looked it up, Noah. They ain't even selling tickets yet.
Nothing
it's so
yet.
Crazy.
There's nothing yet. They do have a panel at Midsummer Scream, though.
I was going to say, I think Midsummer Scream is kind of like the kickoff to all of this.
I think so, too. No, I think so. I think that's what's going to really...
Because they have a panel, right?
They have their own panel. So there are 2 panels happening at Midsummer Scream that are going to talk about Dark Harbor. They have their own, and then they have 13th Floors, and their 13th Floor is going to touch a little bit on that, but I think they're going to talk more about their other events. But tons of different panels coming to Midsummer Scream, and I can't wait for that. That's going to be so much fun. Speaking of panels, another panel coming to Midsummer Scream, Not Scary Farm. Let's just jump into that, too. That's another event that people are kind of watching. That's another event that everyone has their eyes on. Everybody's watching Knott's because they hit so high last year with their 50th that they can't stoop below that anymore, or else people are going to feel like, well, we know the quality you can give us. We know, you know, all the merch and all the, you know, experiences and new shows and new mazes and all that you gave us. We know you can get there. But now you got to maintain that. You can't kind of step back. So it'll be very interesting to see what they offer too, because the 50th was so loved. I went so many times last year and enjoyed every single time. There was something unique and different happening every time. You got the witch walking around and shows, and just, it was such a great event.
It was literally impossible to have a bad time, because you could do the scare zone, you could do the shows, you could eat the foods that are all themed to Scary Farm. You haven't even done a maze. It's already a great day right there.
Exactly, 100%.
And for the most part, how many mazes they had, the lines really spread out big time. And even the scare zones have their own little processionals or shows. So there was just so much going on. I've never seen a Scary Farm come to life so much like I did last year. And I agree, Noah, they can't take a step back. I feel like that's a bad move when you got Six Flags just pedal to the metal.
Firing away.
You can't take a step back, Knott's Berry Farm. You have to keep moving forward.
I think they will.
Accordingly. I feel like, don't be scared to drop the money on Scary Farm. People want it. We want it, man.
Here's the thing. I don't think they're gonna backpedal at all. Just based on walking around and seeing kind of that back area where the 2 new mazes are. So the 2 mazes that left us last year were the Depths and Dark Entities, and we're getting 2 brand new mazes in that backstage area. And so walking past there, like if you're going to the hotel or parking in the Prestige parking lot, you can kind of see glimpses of things going on over there.
A little spider at the top.
The little spider thing going on, but that facade is like built. It looks completed. It looks like that whole edge is done. There's lots of things happening. There, you know, there may be finishing touches or things that they may have to do, but for the most part, being early July and them already have completed that is crazy. Like, they normally kind of lag on that kind of stuff and then last minute throw it all together, but I think with them showing that they're starting early and finishing early and are ahead of schedule, it's going to make things a lot better, not only in these new mazes, but in the old ones. They're going to have time to go back and be like, let's fix that. That wasn't working last year. Let's touch this up to make it look better than it did last year. So I think being ahead of schedule is always a good thing.
And it's shocking because last year, the Depths, I feel like, was the best it's ever been. And it was this last year.
Yep. I know.
So, yeah.
I'm very excited, though, to see what they have there.
If I could throw something out there with Not Scary Farm, the one thing I beg of them is to spend money on their actors and fund it according, or staff it accordingly, because I feel like Not Scary Farm has issues with their mazes losing steam because it doesn't have enough actors.
Yeah.
Actors missing in certain roles and spots that would bring the maze to come to life. But all of a sudden, people quit and they don't have people to take their spot.
Yeah.
I really hope Not Scary Farm really steps up on that.
I mean, that's another thing to even talk about just on the actor perspective of things is like, I've done it. I've worked Scary Farm. I've scared. It's hard. But if you don't think you're ready for that, I wouldn't step into a position yet because you want to kind of hold your entire length of the event. You don't want to drop out early unless you really, really have to. But I know there's people that come in and will audition for these events just to say like, hey, I scared one night at Scary Farm. And then they quit. And a lot of people leave and then they end up, with low staff. So if you're thinking about it, if you're, doing a horror event this year, make sure you're really 100% in it. Stick to the end. It's so worth it to be able to say like you worked an entire season and you have all these stories and stuff like that, which is, again, another episode of this podcast that we're going to be talking to actual actors and giving you all advice and stuff. But
yeah, I'm just saying,
it's crazy.
We saw what happened in Camp Snoopy. They got money. They didn't spend the money to do what they were supposed to do. So there's money somewhere.
Yeah, and this merger.
Spend it on the actors. Spend it on the mazes.
This merger
bring Scary Farm to life.
Yeah,
bigger than last year. Why 100%. Not? Go bigger than last year.
I agree. I
love Scary Farm.
I do too. I think we're going to have a really good event with them this year. I hope they do bring back the Legacy store too, which I heard they were. I heard they were supposed to close the Emporium sometime at the end of this month to start preparing for that, but I guess only time will tell. We have a few weeks until we can actually see the store being closed.
Let me ask you, Noah, you think Sarah Marshall should come around again?
100%. She
was
the
too
icon.
good.
She is the
too
icon of the event. So she has to be there. It's not even a question. I was like, I don't know who I was talking to the other day, and I said, rather than their Carnival de Grotesque show or whatever it's called, they should just do a traditional like Sarah Marshall hanging. Like
like they did for the announcement in 2018 or 2019,
but
whatever.
Like very small, like a little 5-minute thing, people yelling at her, things going on. She gets hung. She's behind everybody like they did at that announcement and whatever, and then it's over. There's no story. There's no like dance numbers. There's no big things. It's just a little small intimate thing that happens maybe once or twice a night. You see it going on, and then it's done. And I think that'll tie in with the entire Not Scary Farm story, too. So if they ever do decide to take Origins away, or if they want to retire that maze or update that maze, there's still a tie-in with Sarah Marshall and the story of everything rather than just being in that one maze.
I think the Grotesque or whatever that shows needs to go.
I agree.
We've had enough.
I agree. We saw what they gave us in the theater. That's like a top-level show. You had numbers, you had humor, you had everything in that show. And then to go walk outside and just kind of, I never saw it really
watch
busy
a stunt
there.
Show, essentially.
Yeah, I never saw it busy there. It was cool the first couple of years, but I think now it's time to kind of move on from that. It just doesn't fit
the flow of what's going on at Scary Farm.
Not,
I think that's
not
the
in
best
that
way to
area either. I think they're trying to connect the clowns over to that area too, but that area I consider Ghost Town. That should be where Sarah Marshall's show is. That should be like that show should be there. So I don't know. It'll be very exciting to see what Not Scary Farm does. Dates announced September 19th through November 2nd. Tickets aren't on sale yet, and I don't even think you can add it to your pass anymore. But very soon, I think. I think after Midsummer Scream again, we're going to be getting lots of these haunts dropping tickets, dropping more information. It's going to be a lot, and they have their own panel, so I can't wait to see what they're going to say. But we are going to take a really quick break, and we will be right back. We're jumping right into things. We have no time to waste. We have a few haunts to talk about before we get to my most anticipated this year. But we're going to jump right into Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood, which is another event that people are always watching. This is always a highly, watched event. We want to see what's coming. We're very, practical about things we want to see return. There's a lot of speculation all throughout the year. And now we're slowly starting to get things trickled in from Universal. It took them a while. They announced their entire Orlando lineup. And here we heard nothing for the longest time until slowly we started hearing things, and probably Midsummer Scream will be when a majority of this stuff is kind of talked about and announced. But it seems like this year the response to Universal is kind of like underwhelming. People aren't really as excited this year. I don't think I've really heard too much like, oh my gosh, you have to go to Universal this year because they're doing this, they're doing this. There's not much of that yet. I don't know if there will be with anything that they may announce. But so far, we know Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire's coming, Quiet Place, and Monstros 2, The Nightmares of Latin America. So,
Dead Exposure.
And Dead Exposure. I don't know. I mean, does any of that excite you? I mean, Monstros excites me because that was such a great maze, a great original. But the two IPs that they've announced, like the two big IPs, Ghostbusters and Quiet Place, I don't know if I'm excited for that. I don't know how I feel.
You know, I always hear John Murdy talk about like what the fans want. What do the fans? No, the fans didn't want none of this.
We didn't want Ghostbusters.
Quiet Place, and then the rumor to be Insidious. Oh, none of that is on our radar.
Yeah.
And I always interpret Hollywood as like the IP powerhouse. They always have a big IP that draws the crowds, or multiple big IP. It really seems like this year we might not have that. It has been rumored too that Weekend might be coming. But is the Weekend going to hit hard after, like, as a second time? I don't know. That's still to be determined, but I feel like there's mixed emotions in regards to hype for Horror Nights, and then Fright Fest dropped all that IP love. It like deflated the hype more, or the hype went down more for Horror Nights. I have a feeling, Noah, that like the scare zones and the Purge show might be the highlight this year.
Wow.
Sounds kind of weird, but
yeah,
because there's been rumor that like Luchadores Scare Zone might be a thing.
But Monstros 2, I think, is going to be a pretty big heavy hitter with like Chupacabra being announced and some crazy other like folklore. I think that'll be a good one too, because that maze last year was good.
Can't wait to see it. I think with Horror Nights, it's just missing that big draw. Mm-hmm. Michael Myers, freaking. It's just like I almost want to say too. Like back then, Killer Clowns was a huge draw.
Yeah.
I don't know. At this point in time, if you ask the fans what they want, a lot of them would say Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah.
They want Terrifier. What is something you would want that's a movie adaptation that would be good to come to Horror Nights?
Honestly, something I really want, and I know it's not Universal, but I think that they would be able to get the rights to it if they really wanted to and paid a good chunk of money. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
Blood and Honey. I want that.
It would be great. It would be great.
I want someone to do that, because that's just poking fun at not only Disney, but like at this movie that people thought was going to flop, and the first one they watched made so much money that when they made the second one, it like completely blew everybody away. The second movie was like, okay, this is good. Like, I want to watch this. That or Terrifier. I want to see Terrifier there. That's another one that's like just absolutely insane.
Yeah, and there's no like a whisper of those things coming.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird dynamic too, Noah. When at the end of the day, Trick or Treat was an IP that was up in the air for a theme park to get, and Horror Nights can't get it. That's so crazy to me. I'm still shocked about it, because Trick or Treat, I feel like would be a big draw at Horror Nights.
Yep.
As a house, as a scare zone, people are gonna come, dude. But I don't know, Horror Nights. I'm just staying optimistic that it's going to be good no matter what.
Yep.
But I've come to the point for me personally that like Horror Nights doesn't have to be great, because we have Scary Farm, Dark Harbor, Fright
so
Fest,
much,
possibly Hollow Scream. We'll see how that goes. Like, there's just so much going on right now that like, hey, if it's mid, it is what it is. There's a lot of events to do this year.
100%. I mean, Horror Nights is always going to be Horror Nights. You know, people are never going to not go to Horror Nights. That's like a thing. Just like Scary Farm. Scary Farm made a name because they were the first. And Horror Nights made a name because they have all these amazing IPs. So people are going to always go.
Yeah.
But now that we're seeing like Six Flags and other theme parks and things do IPs, it's getting to the point where it's like, are we sure that's the best IP we want to go to? Like, we got Trick or Treat over here.
And you know what? Some people, they only go to one Halloween event a year. So if Fright Fest starts taking people away, that's going to really affect money to all the other events.
Yep.
Not just Horror Nights, but the other events. And you got to consider, too, Oogie Boogie Bash. I know it's not horror, but this year is sold out. So for some people, they're like, you know what? Horror Nights is not doing it for me. I'm going to go to Oogie Boogie Bash. Because, like I said, some people literally, they only do one thing for Halloween season.
Exactly.
It's just us crazy people that do all of them.
I do them all. Oh, my goodness. I do everything.
And right now, people trying to buy tickets for events, you know where their money's going to go? They're going to go to Fright Fest. I really feel that.
Yeah.
I really feel that.
So Universal Studios is open September 5th through November 3rd. That's like the earliest one. I'll be there opening night. Tickets are on sale now and range from $77 to $389 or more with the RIP tour, which is so worth it. We're doing an RIP tour. We can't wait for that. That's going to be so much fun. I always say that the RIP is like best bang for your buck because you get to do everything and you get a meal on top of that and you're driven around privately. You got your own tour guide. It's just completely worth it if you can dish out the money for that event.
Even the rides in front of the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of it's just amazing. So we're going to talk about a little bit of Hallow Scream at SeaWorld San Diego, which opens September 27th through November 2nd. We've done this event in the past. I've done it. I've loved it. I thought it was cool. There were some very unique things they were doing at SeaWorld that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like a monster on a hoverboard that would like flip and turn and like go really fast at you. It was like crazy. Like you don't see this kind of stuff everywhere. So that'll be really fun to experience again. I think they announced a new Monster Stomp, which I guess is like a show that they're doing, but I don't know if they have announced any haunted houses or scare zones or anything like that. So it'll be very cool to see. But I think tickets are already on sale and start at like $50, $49, something like that. So it's not that expensive, but definitely another one to check out. You've been, right, Mondo? You did it a few years ago.
I went the first year.
Okay.
And I had fun. You could tell it was a first year haunt. I don't know how much they've improved from the first year, from the people I've talked to, but
yeah.
I could tell you the people in San Diego, that's like their one main event to do out there, and people love it.
Yeah.
The feedback from San Diego people, they enjoy that event. So
yeah,
glad it. I just hope it keeps getting more funding. Because like they have space, man. SeaWorld got space.
Yeah. And I mean, there are like a lot of these other haunts that aren't big mainstream theme parks, but aren't small home haunts. They kind of have like that right in the middle kind of feel. Like they're not like getting super budgeted with IPs, but they're not like we put this together in our garage and we love Halloween and we just do it for fun. They're right in that sweet spot in the middle, which is always kind of up in the air whether or not their event's going to be a smash hit that year or if it's going to completely just fall apart and you're like, ooh, that's not that good. But
did you go last year?
Yeah, last year I liked it. I really thought the event was cool. They have their roaming scare zones where they kind of
I love the roaming scare zone concept.
The park. It's so
more
cool because like
more theme parks need to do that.
Yeah, it's cool. You're walking around and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a scare zone coming to me. Like I didn't think I was in a scare zone, but all of a sudden I'm in a scare zone. And I think they were the first, if I'm not mistaken, to do the Nobu necklace. I saw that there a few years ago, and I posted it.
They did it the first year, I feel like.
Yeah, and I posted it up, and I mean, there were a lot of people that were like, that's such a great idea, and then Knott's brings it, and everyone's like, no Nobu necklace. So, I don't know. It's a good thing to have, I guess, if you're doing a roaming scare zone, because there's really nowhere to hide. You can stop in what you think is not a scare zone, and then all of a sudden something comes up to you, so it's maybe good to have a necklace. You know where their scare zones start and end. It is very hard to avoid a scare zone at Knott's because they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. You shouldn't need a Nobu necklace, but here it's a little bit different. There's a lot of places to kind of like have that moment of you think you're hiding and you're really not because there's something coming up to you. So it'll be cool to do that event again this year. I can't wait to make the trip out to San Diego and check out Howl-O-Scream this year.
One thing I noticed on the website of Howl-O-Scream, they have a no bag policy.
Oh, wow.
Wristlets and fanny packs measuring less than 8 by 5 are permitted.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. I mean, a lot of these haunts and things are implementing stuff like that. I think Scary Farm did that. Scary Farm even had a chaperone policy. So
I know.
Definitely check those things out before you hit up any of these haunts, because that stuff's important. You don't want to be walking up with your bag full of things and then be turned away and have to bring it back to the car. But next up on the list, we're going to be talking about 13th Floor Entertainment lineup. We did talk about Dark Harbor, but they have a few more things that they announced for a Midsummer Scream panel. So I don't know if this is their full lineup. I don't know what's really going to be going on, but they announced their Haunted Hayride that they're going to be talking about at Midsummer Scream. They announced Delusion that they're going to be talking about at Midsummer Scream, and family geared event. So that one is more kid friendly. It's a lot of light up things, jack-o'-lanterns all lit up in colors. It's very family friendly. No actors, no scary things like that. Like just fun music, a good little date night to walk around if you don't want to get scared, stuff like that. So I'm excited for all of that. I mean, it's gonna be cool seeing where Delusion ends up, because last year was their like final chapter of Delusion. So we've heard rumors that they're gonna just start at the beginning again and run through all these things again, run through all these stories again and whatever, which is going to be cool because a lot of people didn't really pick up on Delusion until, 2019, when they're like, oh, we first heard about Delusion then, and there's all these chapters that they missed. But I don't know. Delusion is going to be in a brand new location. I'm excited to see where that is because they are moving. They are not staying in the same house that they've been in for the last couple of years. You've never been to Delusion, huh, Mondo?
No, I've only heard it from you.
Yeah, you gotta go this year.
You've always had raving reviews.
You gotta go this year. It's just insane. You feel like you're a part of this movie. I mean, this production, this show. You're in it. You are a part of it. And I think they're saying every year is play your part. I think that's like what they want. They want you to feel like you're immersed in it. They want you to be there 100% running around and doing these things. And for that hour and a half that you're running around in there and doing all this stuff, you completely forget like you're at a haunt. You think you're living this story. You think like, oh shoot, we broke into this person's house, or there's vampires flying, or I'm shooting a shotgun at somebody and they flew across the yard. It's just insane. The effects that they have are absolutely insane. John Braver is just a creative genius who needs more opportunities in this horror realm, whether that be movies or shows or other productions. I think his mind is way ahead of the game, and he needs a lot of credit to opening up this brand new genre of horror at, during fall. It's like a brand new genre of things. You're not just going to a theme park and getting scared. You're like fully immersed in this stuff. Definitely check it out this year, Mondo. You got to. Let's do it. So worth it.
I want to do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Speaking of another 13th floor event, Haunted Hayride. Did you do that last year?
After Haunted Hayride did me dirty the pandemic year, I've never gone back.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I just checked out. But is there anything cool happening this year that's new for Haunted Hayride?
I don't think anything has been announced yet. I'm assuming we're going back to Midnight Falls, and I may be the only one to say this, but I think we're kind of over Midnight Falls. Everybody's been over Midnight Falls, dude. I hear that all the time. Yeah, I think we're over it. The concept was great at the beginning, but it's kind of ran its course.
It should have been like a 2-year run, huh?
Yeah, I mean, even if they just ended it last year and they tell us like this year is something brand new, I'd be like, okay, cool. It had its run. It did its thing. It was a great concept at the beginning. We had some great mazes to go along with that. The trick-or-treating maze was just amazing. You would walk up to the houses and ring the doorbell, and the monster of that house would come out. It was amazing concepts. But I think we got to kind of switch directions with the Midnight Falls. I don't know if people necessarily are like, we have to go for Midnight Falls.
Like the draw's not there right now.
It's not really there. Other than the fact that they do have a hayride, but I mean, there's other events now that are getting closer and closer to Orange County that are bringing hayrides. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this year. I'm very excited to see kind of what they announce. I hope that they do maybe extend their hayride, add some more scares to it. I think that's one thing last year that was like a little off, was there weren't a lot of scares on the hayride. Lots of effects being used. They used big beach balls and like really crazy effects and things, but not a lot of actor scares. There were a few here and there. But I remember when hayride used to have like these shows. You would stop in your hayride and watch this like show happening, and then the actors would come and scare you and whatever. But I wish they would go back to that. I will say I commend LA Hayride on the seats that they added in the actual hayride. You sit on bales of hay now, so your feet aren't falling asleep. You're not on the floor. You're elevated up. You can see everything happening around you. I do commend you on that. That was a great move. But I mean, until we hear something from them, it's all speculation. We don't know if Midnight Falls is coming or not.
I know it's probably not a opinion that they want to hear, but I feel like if an IP went Haunted Hayride, it would do a lot of good.
Yeah. I mean, and they did. They started kind of doing something. I don't remember what they did last year. There was like a specific moment where they brought in an IP of some sort. I don't remember what it was. It was a little experience in there. They did like a little IP thing. I think they brought in like drag queens or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn.
Like famous drag queens to do shows up there. They did stuff like that, but it was all like announced later on. Like I feel like we need a list of that stuff right at the beginning so you can plan your trip. Like, oh, if there's only a limited run of this IP, I want to make sure I go out for that. Or if there's this drag queen's coming during this weekend, I want to make sure I buy my ticket for that. And they didn't do that. They kind of just released it as it was happening. Like, next weekend, we're doing this. So I guess maybe it's good that they get people to go maybe twice, 3 times if they want to see specific things. But I would like a list of everything that's happening so we can, like, completely hype up the event and see kind of what's going on in your entirety of your run. I think it'd be cool.
Is the live entertainment the music thing they do with what's his name, Travolta?
Yeah, with Monty. Yeah, Monty Travolta.
Is it fun? I'm just curious. I don't even know what kind of music he does or not. I just know he does music.
He does like covers. He does covers of songs.
That sounds fun.
He has an audience. I'll say that there's a very specific audience that loves Monty.
That's how I was wondering if Monty did covers or original or.
It's kind of like
I've never watched a set of his.
Yeah, it's kind of like Crazy Kirk at Knott's. You know, like he has a hardcore fan base, and then like you bring in outside people to watch, and they're kind of like, "What are we watching?" But like these people love him. Like it's the same thing with Monty. There's people that just absolutely love him. And then you bring in some of these people who've never been to the event, and it doesn't kind of sit with them. It's
resonate,
not, yeah, it doesn't really. But I mean, if he changed up the show a little bit, if they changed the Midnight Falls theme of it, and still put Monty in there doing his thing, I think it could be successful. Just change up the theme and everything of what's been going on. All right, and so their last event that they kind of are talking about at Midsummer Scream is Magic of the Jack-O-Lanterns, which is their family-friendly event. That's their event that you can bring the kids to. Lots of colorful pumpkins, you know, lots of cool music, probably light snacks and things to drink. Good for date nights if you like kind of staying chill and not getting scared, or you have little ones that you want to bring. I haven't done it. I know it was like their first year doing it last year, but I am interested to go this year and kind of see what it's about. I think you would love it. I think going as a family, you would love it. And I think that's kind of why they did an event like that, because they have all these crazy haunts that scare you and whatever, but they don't have anything that's geared towards families, which is nice that they're doing, because that's always like an added bonus in like haunts or Halloween activities, is like nothing's going to scare you. It's all family friendly. Bring the babies, bring, you know, whatever. But I'm eager to check it out this year. I'm excited to kind of see what's going on over there. So hopefully we can make it out there this year.
It's always a good change of pace, and family-friendly Halloween stuff is win-win. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. Sorry to interrupt again, but I'm editing this and I'm realizing I made a mistake. I said there were going to be 3 mazes at this next haunt we're talking about, and there's really going to be 2, and they're classifying their experience as another 2. So you're going to have 2 mazes, the hayride, and then their zombie experience. You'll hear all about it right now. All right, now we're going to talk about my most anticipated haunt this year. And they announced all their stuff hours ago. Literally today as we're recording, they announced it like a few hours ago. So right before this, I'm like typing everything up like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. And I can't wait to talk about it. I know Mondo's never been, but this year I'm dragging him out there because it's not as far as it was. But we're going to be talking about Fear Farm. Let's talk about Fear Farm Haunt. They started out in Phelan. They did their thing way out there near Apple Valley. Like, just, you're driving forever. You're, like, almost halfway to Vegas at that point. You're like, really? Is it worth it? Should we drive out there? And every year I would tell people, like, Fear Farm is worth that drive. You get on the craziest hayride of your entire life. It's going, 10 miles an hour. There's actors jumping in your hayride, out of the hayride, dragging the hayride. It's absolutely insane. But this year they announced they're moving to Corona. So they're a lot closer. And I think that's going to benefit them. And when they were announcing all this, they kind of showed where they were going, which ties into their event. They're going to an airsoft space where you can, like, airsoft shoot and have matches and stuff like that. Mondo, this event is going to be one to watch because they got 3 mazes. They're doing Sundown Manor, Barnaby Russ Psycho Circus, and then an unannounced maze. There's one that they haven't said anything about yet. But they're also doing the hayride. And this year I heard the hayride is returning with guns. That you're driving through zombie apocalypse and somebody is in the hayride shooting these zombies.
They do that in Florida. I've seen people, haunts in Florida do that.
Yeah. And then they have an all-new zombie hunt, fight or flight. I guess the flight version is like a big game of capture the flag. You get the flags and you're running from these zombies, and whoever has the most flags at the end wins. And then the fight version is an airsoft match with these zombies, and you get a squad leader and everybody gets a gun and you're running around shooting these zombies. So I can't wait. That sounds like incredible.
It sounds like somebody just went like, hey, I'm going all out. This is my year.
Fear Farm has just been that haunt, that home haunt, because when it was in Phelan, it was at someone's house. It was in the front yard. You saw the house in the background. They were literally serving their snack bar on their front porch. Like, it was crazy. It was like somebody's house. And then to see them grow and they're recreating their entire ghost town scene at Midsummer Scream this year. And then they moved to this brand new location with new experiences. I'm so, so happy for them.
Up and coming. That's what it sounds like.
It's like the thing to watch. I will say, when I was reading the ticket stuff, single admission with 1 attraction's about $20. That'll get you in and on one of the attractions, one of the mazes, or the zombie hunt, or the hayride. If you want all 5 attractions, it's about $50, which is $10 per attraction. That's not bad. They do have VIP and RIP prices too, which
so they're stepping it up everywhere.
Yeah, about $125 ish. Some of those include like front of the line access. Some of them include shirts and stuff like that. So definitely check out their packages. They also have date night packages and family packages. And then they have like a ton of different add-ons. I was reading everything. They literally have like additional ammo if you want to purchase it for the zombie game. They have squeaky toys for the zombie experience to like distract them. They have a no-boo necklace, and they have a scare me necklace.
So they're smart. They're obviously somebody has the right mentality.
Yep. Somebody is watching what all these influencers and theme park lovers and haunt lovers were saying about knots with this like Nobu necklace. Like, why don't we get a scare necklace? Like, I want to be scared necklace. Mondo, we've talked about that like 3 or 4 times, and they're doing that here.
Yeah,
there's
that's
a necklace
smart.
specifically to get targeted and to be scared. That's genius.
Yeah, genius.
Genius. I mean, I'm excited. Their mazes are always so much fun. They do the craziest things in there. My big worry for them is I hope the quality doesn't go down because they move to a different location. In their front yard, it's a lot easier to do whatever we want. It's my house. If my actor gets hurt, they get hurt. It's, you know, it's my property. Now that we're moving somewhere else, are the actors still going to go as hard as they normally do? Are they going to be jumping in and out of the hayride? Are they going to be getting dragged by the hayride? Are things going to be like, is the hayride going to be going 10 miles an hour? Is it going to slow down? Are things going to kind of take, you know, a step back? I hope not. But with these 2 added experiences with the zombie shooting and, you know, all these new mazes and stuff, I think they're on the right path. I really do. I think this is going to be one of those events that you're just like, how has this never been a thing before? How have I never done this? Like, this is going to be a yearly thing.
You sold me. You sold me. I want to do it.
I was just so shocked reading their stuff today. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, what? Like, how are these? How are these people doing this? And the fact that
they're closer now too, I feel like it'll go a long way.
It's gonna draw a lot of people in. Yes, that's gonna for sure draw a lot of people in because Phelan was a drive. But everybody I talked to that either did it or was questioning doing it, I was always like, it's worth it. Like, that drive was just worth it. But now that they're in Corona, they're gonna have people from Phelan area coming down, and then people from OC going up there and kind of like meeting in the middle. It's like that perfect spot. I'm very, very excited. That's like my most...
I hope they're successful because that event seems like, hey, we got more money. We could do more cool stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It does. It does. And the
it's
pricing...
not necessarily like, oh, we're richer. It's like, I feel whoever's running that event is like, well, I'm going to do this now because we have more money.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready to expand, and I'm so happy that they are. Their whole team there is just so friendly. They've always been so nice to me, and I love them. They're like the top of my list this year. They're the top of my list. I'm very excited. I'm dragging you this year. There's no excuse. They're close this year now.
I want to go. I want to go to that one.
Before we end here, we're going to just talk really quickly about some honorable mentions, like home haunts and things like that. I'm looking forward to a few of these. Castle Dark being one of them. That's a smaller event. That one's in Riverside at Castle Park. I have information here that I was sent by Joseph, who is their creative director over there. Because I asked him, I said, I didn't see anything on the website. I don't know if there's anything being announced or whatever. He said they have a maze called Labyrinth that they announced. 3 new shows this year, and one of them is going to be performed at Midsummer Scream. So definitely check that out. I think if you just search Castle Dark Presents Countess Elura, you can find it on there. That's going to be one of their shows that they're doing. And then they are returning September 20th, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to October 27th. So that's always a fun one. Castle Park is always so much fun. And when Joseph stepped in, you saw like a complete shift of the event. Like, Joseph is somebody who just loves the horror community. He comes from, you know, that scene. And so now you see that kind of love being put into Castle Dark. I'm excited for this year. I think this year is going to be awesome. I was kind of talking with Joseph the other day when I was down there, and he was showing me some things. And there's mazes that are, I'm like, that's going to be huge. Like, how are you doing that? So Castle Dark, definitely check them out in Riverside. I'm very excited to see their panel at Midsummer Scream. I think they're announcing everything that day, or that's what Joseph had told me, that they're announcing everything that they have in store. The shows, the scare zones, the mazes, all of that's being announced there. They're going to have all their characters walking around Midsummer Scream. So definitely check those guys out. Another one I want to talk about, Twisted Dreams Home Haunt in Buena Park. If you have never been to Twisted Dreams Home Haunt in Buena Park, this is the year to go. They're literally a home haunt, but they feel like they're on par with some of these places that we've talked about tonight. It's in the backyard of their house, so it's not big. It's one maze to walk through in the backyard. But the way that they like build it in their backyard is insane because it feels like it goes on forever. You turn one corner and you're in like this kitchen. There's the actors all coming at you. It's just insane. And I think this year, from what we've heard, talking to them last year, I think they're going to charge this year. I think it's only like $5 or something, which is not bad, especially for a home haunt and something with their quality that's just amazing. And they have some great scare actors there. Totally worth checking out. It's near Knott's, so I guess it's one of those things like if you're going to Knott's a little bit later and you happen to stop by right beforehand, you know, get a little pre-scare there and then go to Knott's, or just check it out one night when, you know, you have nothing to do and you're like, hey, let's go to this little home haunt that we have. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Something else, Tunnel of Terror car wash. I don't know if that's coming back. I hope it is. That event scared me so bad. And like, you think just like, well, it's just a car wash, it's whatever. They open your doors, they're climbing in the car with you. I was like, I can't. You feel like you're supposed to be safe in your car, but you're not. Like, there's monsters sitting next to you in your car. It's crazy. I hope they come back this year. High Desert Haunt, I'm very excited for. I just did their Purge event, and it was awesome. A Purge event in July, a haunt, a walkthrough is going to be crazy. It was crazy. And then just doing it again in September, October, whenever they open is going to be cool because that's their biggest haunt that they put on over there. That one's in Apple Valley, so check them out too. 17th Door, if you like that stuff, check those guys out. They're crazy. They are crazy there. They will shock you. They will touch you. They will do it all. Bugs, everything. So if you're not ready for that, definitely skip out. Santa Ana Haunt too. I'm excited to check them out. I've never checked those guys out, but we saw them at their Halfway to Halloween event. And they looked cool. All right, now, Mondo, I'm going to ask you a couple rapid-fire questions to end this first episode of Noah's Nightmare. So, you ready for this?
Do it.
Your first answer that comes to your mind. Ready? What do you think is going to be the Halloween costume of the year?
Maxine.
What's your most anticipated event of the year?
Fright Fest.
Best Halloween candy?
Damn. It's hard to go. See's Candy. See's Candy's too good. See's Candy's too good. See's Candy.
Best horror movie?
Right now or like period?
Period.
Man, I want to say Terrifier 2 right now is like pretty.
That's a good one.
It's just, I don't know. It hits so hard at a time where Halloween was not good or Halloween movies.
100%.
Terrifier 2's up there. Trick or Treat too. Trick or Treat's like one of my favorite.
All right. Candy corn, yay or nay?
Hell no.
And what about Abigail or Megan?
You know, I haven't watched Abigail, but everybody says she's good. But I did enjoy Megan last year at Horror Nights. I thought it was fun.
Cool. That is the alarm, which means my nightmare is over. Thank you again, Mondo, for joining at the Cali Bay on Instagram and Five Fires YouTube. Go ahead and just tell us one more time, upcoming things that we can be looking out for and just things that you're doing.
Yeah, just stay tuned on YouTube. Updates at HHN, Scary Farm. If I could brave the heat at Six Flags, I want to do a Fright Fest update. But stay tuned. We're really going to get into the haunt season. And soon enough, too, we'll get Oogie Boogie talk. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, yeah.
But Halloween in general, it's upon us. We're so close to everything being unveiled. And Midsummer Scream's really going to kick it off. So stay tuned for all my social medias to be posting about all things Halloween of theme park.
Yeah. All right, you guys, join the conversation over on Instagram the day the episode drops, and you can join on Spotify too. I am Noah. Follow me at Disnoahland on Instagram, TikTok, X, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching, or follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you're streaming this. And I'll see you all next Thursday when the nightmare continues.
Thank you,
Bye.
Noah. Later, everybody.